So what I have right now on the screen is the typical join syntax, and if you look closely, the syntax is very similar to the kind of syntax we have been using for the select and the from statement in the sessions in the previous sessions we already discussed. So the only difference that comes up while moving from the normal syntax to the join syntax is that firstly now you have two tables to represent in just one query. As you can see that in the from statement, not only do I have the claims table, I also have the diagnosis table available to me also. And the condition that is used to make up the join is represented in the on statement. And the condition that I've used in this syntax is that patient ID from the first table must be equal to the patient ID from the second table. Now this is a very important requirement because the variables that I'm using in the on statement have to be present in the respective tables, and they need to be there either by the same name or even by different names. So, but before we explore all of the types of joins that are available to us in SQL, there is one important thing that needs to be discussed in this syntax is, and that is the as statement. The as statement that I have written after the claims table and after the diagnosis table also. And the the as keyword is basically the aliasing that I'm using to alias the name of a table, because in typical scenarios people usually don't are really not comfortable with writing big names of tables again and again. And what aliasing lets you do is it helps you give an alias to the table which you are using in the join statement. So in this syntax, as you can see that I am using the typical select statement from statement of two tables, but I am using the as keyword after claims table. And by doing this, I have successfully aliased the name of the claims table as A. And for the diagnosis table also, I have successfully aliased its name as B. And then subsequently, I have referred to these tables in the on statement also, where I indicate that for this join to take place, you need to perform the patient ID in the claims table, which is being represented by A over here, must be equal to the patient ID in the B table, which is representing diagnosis table over here. Now this is a very useful feature because if we don't alias our table, the the other way around in this thing is very bad. And let me show you what would happen if we were to not alias our tables. So say I don't use as A over here, and I don't use as B over here also. So while performing up a join, I will need to use the full names of these tables over here. So on claims table dot patient ID is equal to the diagnosis table in patient ID. Now this thing is completely unwanted because as you can see that the overall length of the code has been unnecessarily increased, and it also doesn't really help us understand giving up a clear picture of what is really happening in the SQL join. So it is always best to use to use the aliasing of the tables whenever you are performing up a join, because they are going to add much more clarity to your join syntax. Another way of aliasing your table is that you can skip using the as keyword after the name of the table in both of these things, and still the table would be referenced. But as from my personal experience, it is always advisable to use the as statement like we had it before. It's like this. So I should use as after the name of the table in both of these tables, and they should be preceding the aliases that I will be using for the table. So in the next session, we are going to begin with the typical joins that are used in SQL. Stay tuned for them. Thank you for watching.